I refuse to accept other people's ideas of happiness for me, as if there is a one size fits all to happiness. Kanye West is known for a lot of different things, but one of his strengths, I would say, is his understanding of not being a people pleaser. When you are looking at how we define happiness, is it going to be the same for everyone? Of course it is not. When we look at how happiness can be defined, it is the same with wealth. It is going to be different for everyone. It is going to be a different lifestyle, a different number. There are some people who, no matter how much money they have, they're going to live a very simple life. They're going to have a simple car and a simple house and a very chilled environment. And there are going to be other people, no matter how little money they have, that are going to be trying to live an extravagant life where they are spending and using credit and borrowing because they just need to be able to keep up with the Joneses, as they say. Happiness is internal. It is something that cannot be defined because it's inside of you. It is listening to the inner drumbeat, that understanding of what it is that you feel like you were put here to do. And when you are focused on the external, where other people are telling you, buy this car, get that boat, take this trip, all of these will make you happier. Your life will be much easier if you get this and if you do that. Well, those are going to be distractions. External things do not bring happiness. Your appreciation of the external is driven by your internal. When someone is feeling good inside, then they are going to be feeling good about all the things that are around them. Even though they may not be the best situation or exactly as they wanted, they still feel good inside because there's always something to be grateful for. And as difficult as it is, as I'm thinking in the back of my mind, all the things, well, what if this happened? What if that happened? All of that is true, but it doesn't change the fact that there's always something to be grateful for. Even if it is just the fact that you can take another breath, you have something to be grateful for. And that is why it's important to get past the idea of what I need to do is tied to the way someone else feels about what I do. People pleasing is a very addictive trait because we're often taught that when we're a kid. When we're a kid, we do things and we look back, and our parents let us know whether what we did was good. They celebrate us. They clap for us. We feel great. I see kids when they get hurt, they look back, and whether it's mom or dad, or whether they're worried, or whether they're like, get on up, then that changes the way the kid acts. Where the kid, if the parent is worried, then the kid gets worried and they start crying. And why is that? It's because the kid understands that if I start crying and my parent is the one that worries, they're going to pick me up. They're going to hold me. They're going to make me feel good. If my parent is the one that tells me to get up, well, then I know that that's not going to happen. So I might as well just get back up because the joy that I'm going to have in this moment is tied to my ability to keep playing because there is none of this extra stuff. Or at a minimum, that parent is going to celebrate the fact that I fell down and got back up. So let me get up so they can celebrate that. So we're taught these different things at a very young age, and it's difficult for us to break them. Where it makes more sense when you're younger as a kid because your parents should have your best interest in mind, versus when you're older, then that person usually has their best interest in mind. Not to say that they can't want good for you, but just to say when things are very difficult, if someone doesn't essentially have that fiduciary responsibility where they have to do right by you, then it becomes very difficult for that person to separate the two. And so what we're going to figure out is how do you kind of have that same mindset that Kanye has, in the sense that he is not very concerned about what other people are thinking about him, and it has enabled him to explore and expand his creativity and to say what's on his mind, even though lots of people may disagree with it, but it's still a trait that is worth building. Number two is just more of a question or a realization that Kanye talks about. He says, like, people are always saying, be humble, be humble, be humble. But he said, when's the last time someone told you to be great, to be amazing, to be spectacular, to chase greatness? Often we are telling people, look, being humble and being content helps you to enjoy life and the journey as it goes. But there is a balance that needs to be struck. You should be able to tell someone, be content along the journey, because that's going to give you the fuel to keep driving. I think we confuse the words content with complacent. And so Kanye is saying, look, a lot of the times what we're dealing with when you're talking about people pleasing, does it make people happier, or does it bother them a little more when you're striving to do something more? I find that it bothers people a little more. They're like, well, who do you think you are? Why do you think you deserve so much? I'm living this simple life. I've been doing this for 15 more years. Why are you complaining about your job? Right? Where we become, where we acclimate, I'll say instead, where we start saying, you know what, people aren't very excited about my dreams, my goals, and my aspirations. Maybe I'll just kind of fall down to the norm. And the easiest example of this is whenever someone comes to a new company, I've done it myself, where they're like, look, we hired you, I specialize in pricing. Look, we hired you to fix our pricing. Could you talk to these different departments, these different salespeople, understand the cost, and then come up with a new structure so that we're able to maximize the revenue and then we can grow this company? And they're like, yes, that's you. You're bringing in that outside perspective. We're super excited to get to work with you. So you get one in there, and then you start talking to people, and then people are not very receptive. Some people you didn't know, but they applied for that job and they didn't get it. And they've been in the company for 5 or 10 years, and they're trying to figure out what is it that makes you so special. Other people, they just don't like change, and that's what a lot of people are dealing with, where they're like, you're going to raise my prices too high, Dre, and the customers are going to leave and you're going to mess up my bonus. Or, Dre, you're going to make my job harder in customer service because they're going to call me and ask me why they're getting these letters saying that the rates are going up. You're just messing things up for us, Dre. Could you just get in your lane, learn how we do things? And that is on the bottom end, which oftentimes we're like, well, look, I was given the mandate to kind of fix this, so I want to go with this. But the difficult thing with pricing is it depends a lot more on the CEO, where the department may have this vision, this idea where they're like, look, you're going to fix this. We need you to generate more revenue. But then when those people underneath talk to the CEO, like the sales usually has a very close line to the CEO. And if sales is saying we're about to lose this client and this customer because Dre's out there messing with the prices, well, often the CEO will get on the phone and then they'll just say, you know what, let's not do this. Let's keep rates the same for another 3 or 5 years or something like that. And you go over the numbers and you try to explain how it's going to help them hit their goals and their budgets, but it just doesn't work that way all the time. And so again, what ends up happening is you're sitting there and you're saying, okay, maybe I should just chill. Maybe people aren't telling me to be awesome. Maybe people don't want me to be great. Maybe people don't want me to change everything. Maybe they just want me to kind of keep things as they go and nibble across some of the edges. Be humble and be complacent in my interactions. But you don't want to allow that because, again, that falls into the people pleasing. Why are we doing all of these things? It's because we're trying to please the masses. We want everyone to say good job to what we did. And sometimes it's difficult for us to get people to appreciate the vision along the way. It's not until you're at the very end where people are like, okay, this makes sense. I really appreciate you kind of making this happen. But you have to be willing to do that. You have to be someone who's willing to go out there and say, this is where my flag is at. If you want to move it, that's fine. You can move it if they have the authority to move it. But this is what I was brought to do. And I can't just be focusing on pleasing other people. And more times than not, you'll find that, yes, people will be bothered a little bit in the beginning, but if they understand you came from a place of respect and that you were trying to do what you were hired to do, then you're going to find that it works out in the end, where they at least understand that you're not a yes person, you're not just saying what people want to hear. Number 4 is, if you have this opportunity to play this game that we call life, it is important to appreciate every moment. When we're focusing on pleasing others, we don't really appreciate the moment for what it is. It is just a blessing to have such opportunities where you can express yourself, where you have these platforms, where you can chase your dreams, where you can live to fulfillment, where you can make it better for the next generation to come, where you can kind of lay that pathwork for someone else to be able to say, that's exactly the steps I need to take to get there. It's very important to understand that someone has to do it for other people to be able to do it, right? Like the first Black billionaire was in 2000 when BET was sold, and then there's been, I believe we're up to like 5 now, where you don't have one for hundreds of years, and then all of a sudden you have 5 within the next 20. It is not that the opportunities weren't there. It was once you achieve it, people are like, oh, that's possible. We can do that. And there's no doubt if on your way to building whatever it is that you're trying to build in your life, that you're going to find people who are not excited about what you're doing. But for you to not continue striving for it because some people are going to be offended and not like what you're doing, well, that's just you selling yourself short. Tomorrow is not promised. You cannot continue making decisions about this moment as if you'll have another opportunity, another moment in the future. Sure, you may, but wouldn't it be better to capitalize on your moment today, and then you can give that moment to someone else in the future? Or you can exponentially increase on the next moment because you've already built a proper framework. Don't forgo the opportunity of today because you're so worried about what may happen tomorrow. live for the moment, make decisions in the moment, and understand that you're going to make adjustments along the way. You're not going to be perfectly prepared for every opportunity, but you want to be more prepared than completely blindsided where you have done nothing. And as they say, it would be a horrible situation for your opportunity to come and you not be prepared in any way for it. When you're focusing on the moment, it allows you to not be worried about what may happen in the future, not feel regret about what happened in the past. But in the moment, there is nothing to think about except what is the next best decision I can make right now. And that is where your strength, your power, and your creativity lies. When you're dealing with people pleasing, you are worried about either the future or the past, where you're thinking, oh, well, I messed up last time that happened, and then I ended up losing because of politics. Or in the future, we're like, they may get rid of me because there's, Billy Bob is going to always say what they want to hear. Whatever it is that you're thinking, just fall back in the moment. In this moment, this is what I'm facing with. And we're not worrying about the past or the future. How do I feel about this moment? How would I want to attack it? And what do I think is the value that I can bring into that? That is really the power, that when you free yourself from this idea of living in the future or worrying about the past. And number 5, Kanye said his definition of success was never about money. It was about inspiring other people to be successful. When we all live in a world of people pleasing, there's a lot of people that are unhappy. And as you've known, as I mentioned, the Times Happiness Survey says that 70% of people are unhappy in their life. Where you go on social media and you see people sharing how they dread the Mondays and how they love the Fridays, and that only gives them like a day really to enjoy themselves, a day and a night. Because on Sunday, then they're back to dreading about going back to their life on Monday. When you step outside of the social norms and you try something, and whether you succeed or fail, you're going to be able to make adjustments, and I promise you, you will get there as long as you keep going. When you do that, it inspires other people. Where everybody was saying no one's ever done this, well, now they can say, well, Dre did it that one time. No, it didn't turn out like all rainbows and Skittles, but he did do it, and it did turn out well in the long run. So I think I'm going to go for that. I encourage you guys to listen to stories of successful people in fields, in endeavors that you're trying to go on, and allow that to slowly seep into your subconscious to let you know that it is totally possible. That you do not have to live a life where someone else has to validate what you're doing for you to be successful. You can be successful in your own right. It may not necessarily be within that particular company that you thought was the perfect company for you, but it doesn't mean that your opportunity won't be available. It just means that you have to adjust. And as we just said in the last one, that is making the next best decision with the information that you have. I do have a free resource available for you guys. You can go to forecasthope.com/opportunity. There you can download your Lifetime Millionaire Success Blueprint. In it, you can learn how to create $1 million or to capitalize on your next $1 million opportunity. Until next time, I'm Dre. Continue blessings on your journey to become the champion of your dream life. And as always, better self, better wealth.